Hackensack Meridian Children's Health is comprised of 2 nationally ranked children's hospitals by U.S. News & World Report and are number 1 in New Jersey. K. Hovnanian Children's Hospital in Neptune and Joseph M. Sanzari Children's Hospital in Hackensack, as well as pediatric inpatient and outpatient services at JFK University Medical Center in Edison. With access to expert pediatricians and over 200 pediatric specialists across the state, Hackensack Meridian Children's Health prides itself on offering specialized pediatric medical care and surgical expertise. To learn more about Hackensack Meridian Children's Health, visit hackensackmeridianhealth.org/kids. Welcome back, everyone, to the Mom with Moms podcast. We are continuing our family healthcare series today with Hackensack Meridian Children's Health, focusing on what to be mindful of this time of year as we head into I think last week was the first week of fall, but today's October 1st, so we're really we're really in fall now, which means back to school, back to extracurricular activities, all of the holidays that are coming up. So it's a really, really busy time of year for moms. We're constantly on the go, and combined with, as germs ramp up and the bacteria is flowing all over the lovely schools, kids are getting sick, but they're also, there's a lot of injuries that can happen this time of year. So I thought that this is a good topic to cover as we head into a fun time of year, but also a time that you can be a little bit cautious about injury prevention. So I'm welcoming Patty Bonatakis today on our podcast. Patty's a physical therapist who is the coordinator of Pediatric Trauma Injury Prevention for the Jersey Shore University Medical Center trauma program. She serves as an advocate and educator for injury prevention for children aged 0 to 14 at community programs such as health fairs. Falls, motor vehicle accidents, and pedestrian injuries are the most common types of injury in many communities. I was interested to learn that. We were just chatting before, so welcome. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And I didn't know, especially about, I guess I knew car accidents, but we're going to dive into all of that. So I also want to note here too, the trauma team at Jersey Shore University Medical Center serves adult and pediatric populations. Safety is their priority, and the work of the team includes developing educational programs to help communities stay safe. We are approaching Halloween.
Yes.
So, when we were growing up, I think I mentioned this too, our parents were like, something must have happened in the past, and maybe, we can look this up afterwards, but why our parents who were like, go outside, don't come back until it's dark out, it was very like loosey-goosey in terms of parenting. But there was like, check your candy. So there must have been an incident of some kind. But I do remember like my mom would like go through all of our candy to make sure that it hadn't been tampered with. So that I think is probably still like, top of mind with our the millennial and Gen Z parents that are, kind of versed, right, in Halloween safety. But, I think it goes further, into that in terms of making sure that the kids are safe. Wearing costumes that are flame resistant. Why is that?
Yeah. So we want to wear costumes that are flame resistant to avoid any injuries that could happen, any fire, if anyone's smoking or anything nearby. It's also important that you try on the costume ahead of time, that it fits you. We don't want the costume to be too long, that it could become a tripping hazard.
Okay.
When you're walking, also, we don't want you to be like running in it or anything. Make sure that you try it on first and that it fits before the day of. Same thing goes with the makeup. You want to just try a little bit on your face first for any face makeup that you're doing. Make sure your kid's not allergic to it.
Yeah, because if you have, like, my daughter's skin is very sensitive. So I think like knowing her, I would probably know that in advance. But at the same time, like, if maybe they're getting together with friends, like she's going trick-or-treating this year for the first time with like a new group of friends, and I'm probably going to be present. But at the same time, like if they're getting ready together, right? Like maybe one has makeup and whatever.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Just try it out.
Right.
New stuff, especially the costume makeup is sometimes different ingredients.
Okay.
Yeah.
And flame resistant too. Let's like just pause on that a little bit. Because some clothing can go up in flames like that, right?
Instantly.
Yeah.
So
okay.
you want to make sure you're buying approved brands, flame resistant. Sometimes the stuff that you could just get on Amazon isn't the best brand.
Right.
So,
okay.
yeah, just checking.
That's terrifying. Okay.
Yeah, especially because it's so easy to use, right?
Yeah.
So.
This all, I guess, Halloween falls typically after the clocks go back. So it's dark out earlier. Wearing bright, reflective costumes.
Yeah, exactly.
To make sure that, that
avoiding the all black or dark navy colors, making sure cars could see you. Same with the face mask too. A lot of times the face mask will obscure your vision because there's very little room for you to see out. So it's better to avoid them if you can.
Okay. Yeah. I know a lot of the schools don't allow masks, and I think that's partly why. Let's talk about the candy. So, sure. We want to make sure that we're checking candy. We also want to make sure that I guess it has some type of list of ingredients.
Yeah.
And
so nothing really homemade or anything without an ingredient list, just because you don't know what's in it. Someone could say they baked cookies or something, but you might not know if there's a nut or something in it.
Right.
So it's important to just only let your kids have things that have the ingredient list. Make sure that everything's safe inside, that your kid has no known allergies to that. If your child does have allergies, you should carry your EpiPen with you when you're trick-or-treating, just because you never know.
Yeah.
And then it's important, too, to encourage your kids when you are out trick-or-treating to not eat the candy when you're out, for a couple of reasons. One, you didn't get to inspect it yet or check that ingredient list, but you also don't want your child to choke while they are outside trick-or-treating. A lot of times kids are running to keep up with their friends to get to the next house, and we forget how easily they could choke on candy.
And no matter the age, I think maybe with younger kids, it's like, you're maybe more aware of choking hazards and stuff like that. But with the older ones, when they're like excited, they want to try the candy, they're running, that they could easily start choking. So that is, something to keep in mind, right, as we're walking along the streets. Food allergies. So I know that there's newer candy brands now.
Yeah. And the ingredients change often. They're not always the same. So just because a candy was good for you a couple of years ago, it might now have a new ingredient in it. So you want to check it.
Okay.
It's also been said a couple times that the mini candy bars are sometimes different ingredients than the larger ones. So you just want to check and make sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That there's
no new ingredients. It might be one little thing that your child is allergic to.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. And also if you know that your child does have an allergy, to have EpiPen.
Yeah.
Present.
Yes.
With them. Do kids can kids administer their own EpiPen?
They can.
They can.
Yeah. It really depends on the age,
Okay.
and the education. Younger kids, normally it's the parents.
Right.
A lot of times an older sibling will know how, just in case. But like middle school and up, they can.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Enforcing, no eating while trick-or-treating. So to avoid choking. I like this one. So if you do have a house that gives out, perhaps like a homemade treat, and I'm sure that's well-intended, and I'm sure that there's nothing wrong with it, but you do, I'd say you probably want to steer away from anything that doesn't like have a traditional wrapping with the ingredient list. How to handle that with kids. So we saw this note here about the Good Witch.
The Good Witch, yeah. So it's actually a good idea to put the candy or the food, whatever, outside or in like a specific area and tell your kids, hey, let's see if the Good Witch comes and picks it up. And they take it away. Because it's not an approved candy, or it doesn't have that ingredient list. And then the Good Witch could always replace it with something that your kids can eat, or something that's a non-food item. A coloring book, pencils, stickers, something fun to kind of distract them from that homemade brownie or cookie.
Right.
Especially for the younger ones who might not understand, that it's homemade versus store-bought candy. It's a good little story to trick them into not eating it.
Yeah, I love that. That's very cute, because I could see, some children like my own that are quite stubborn, especially when they were younger.
Yeah.
That story might have been like, okay, all right, I could see that. So, let's see. So driving safety tips. That's probably the scariest part. I think you hear so much more about pedestrians being struck on the news now, through social media. More, car accidents every day, and it's scary. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you see tons of it, which is not something that I could mentally handle. So I don't know how you do what you do. But, there's a lot of car accidents happening. And I think part of it too is how we have these apps now to like avoid traffic and stuff. So we go through like residential areas oftentimes, and I live on a street that has become more of it's a residential area, but it's definitely a cut through street.
Yeah.
And people fly down it, which is part of the reason why I don't like my daughter going outside on her bike. In the back is fine, but like in the front, it just really makes me nervous because it's 25 and people definitely do 45.
Yeah.
So, so tell me, just what to be cognizant of for car safety or driving safety tips during Halloween.
So driving safety. So as the driver, it's really important to not be distracted. That's the number one thing. Nowadays, everyone's texting while they're driving or talking on the phone while they're driving. So it's so important to just put it away, focus on the road. There's actually a good rule that I follow myself. So if I'm driving somewhere and someone really needs me, they'll call me 2 times in a row. So if it's my husband or my sister and I hear that phone ringing 2 times, I know like, okay, let me pull over. Maybe it's an emergency. Like that's just.
So you even like Bluetooth that you think that's distracting?
If the Bluetooth's.
If it's connected.
Yeah, if it's connected, maybe, but half the time I feel like I don't connect it. It's just wireless, whatever. So it still is so distracting, even talking on the phone, because then they might say, oh, look at this. I just texted you this, or look real quick.
Right.
That's really the biggest thing.
It's good to, I actually put it in one of the glove compartments that I can't reach.
Perfect. Yeah. That's a great idea.
Because otherwise, like, it's too tempting.
Even if you're at a red light, it's like, oh, let me just look real quick. But then, the light turns green and you're still looking.
I know.
And that's where you might not see that kid run out into the road to get their ball or that bicycle rider. It just takes 1 second.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as well as, for our younger drivers too, like our teenagers, our younger drivers, only having one person in the car, not being distracted by so many people in the car. The first year you're only supposed to have one person anyway. So it's important, that side distractions.
To make sure that they're following the regulations.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And then as far as residential areas, you should really be following the speed limit. I know some towns are putting in speed bumps to slow people down, but it's just a matter of time, for each town to follow suit and everything.
That. Okay. And then also if you see a distracted or a drunk driver on the road, to contact law enforcement.
Yeah, definitely. So if you see swerving or someone not on the right side of the road, God forbid, definitely contact law enforcement. It's only a matter of time before they hurt themselves or someone else.
Totally. 1000% agree.
Especially like Halloween and this time of year where it's nice weather, so they're walking outside. So
Yeah, no, it's a issue, and we need to make sure that we're keeping ourselves safe. So, and if someone's doing that they are lucky enough that they don't hurt someone, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So outside of Halloween, I know that fall is also a time that you're seeing a lot of injuries, right? Happening.
Yeah, definitely.
So what are some of those?
So the top injury at Jersey Shore for kids is falls, actually. So commonly falls off the playground, falls off the trampolines with no nets. They're very unsafe, but also falls in the home. So now that summer's over and just say you have a cold, rainy day like this past weekend where you're spending time inside, falls inside the home. So that could be down the stairs, off of furniture, falls out of a window are very common. One example is, mom comes in with the baby in the car seat and puts the baby on the kitchen table in the car seat, and then the dog comes by or an older child comes by and accidentally knocks them off. So that fall from the counter is a big impact on that baby.
Wow.
Yeah, it happens more than you think. And even little things like high chairs, the baby's not being strapped in and they're falling out of the high chair.
Okay.
So just taking that extra minute to strap them in, only put them in approved baby safe sitting areas. So maybe like the bassinet. If you're not in the car, the baby doesn't really need to be in the car seat. So we encourage parents, once you get home, take them out, put them in the bassinet, put them in their crib so that they're safe, not up on a counter in the baby seat.
Okay.
Yeah. Worst case, if you really don't want to wake them up, put the car seat on the floor.
Okay.
Yeah. Just keeping it on the floor will protect them from falling off that height.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's a good tip. I know my kids lived in those things because
it's tough. You don't want to wake them up,
Yeah.
but it's something so silly that you don't think about, but they could easily get knocked over.
Okay. And even like being strapped in, they can still be injured from that. Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
definitely. Because the whole car seat could tip over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about car safety. First and foremost, I know a lot of townships do the car seat installations.
Yes.
We were just talking about this the other day because I forget why. I used to do that with my kids. They didn't have it when my son was little. Because he's older. He'll be 21. But they did start doing it, I believe, in Homedale when my daughter was little, and I used to go. The only problem with it is like, if we had to switch car seats, or like I think eventually we got my mom a car seat. I forget, but then like if she took it out, so not all of them were always installed properly, which was like scary.
It's tough. So a lot of times with the newer infant seats, we encourage the parents to get 2 bases. So there's a base in each car, and then the seat could move from car to car.
Okay.
But then with the older, once they get into the toddler seats, it is tough. If you know grandma or whoever's taking them a few days a week, it might be worth it to get them their own car seat.
Yeah.
And as well as most police departments offer that, fire departments, but the hospital also, we offer that too. It's actually today. It's the first Tuesday of the month from 3 to 7, totally free. It's myself and New Jersey State Police, and we're all certified through Safe Kids. We're all car seat instructors.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's totally free. Normally we have like 30 to 40 people come. We encourage all new moms that are going to be having babies soon, new grandmas, to come and install the seat.
That's great.
Because there's so many little things too. Once you get the installation, you don't want the passenger seat to be touching the seat, because you want to give it a little wiggle room. It should be able to move an inch. There's just so many little things that parents don't know.
So you are like going to be your friends that all have kids or whatever. You're going to be like all the different ins and outs of all
already.
the
I'm helping
the car seats. It's a
yeah.
pain in the butt. You have to like really have some upper body strength, which I do not have.
It's a lot of times there's 2 of us in the car doing it. Like it will be 2 police officers,
there,
one of them just holding it in place and one of them clicking it in.
Yeah. And most cars now come equipped with the what's it called, the latch?
The latch, yeah. Basically every car now.
Okay.
Some of the pickup trucks are a little tricky, but they all have them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good. So when the kids are a little bit older, you said the booster.
The booster, yes.
Up until
8. And so that's a thing that most people they go to kindergarten, go to first grade, and they ditch the booster. It's so important that you keep your kid in it until they're 8 years old, just because they need to be a certain height. The seatbelts are made for me and you, for adults. Okay. So when these kids are just sitting in a seatbelt, the seatbelt actually comes here on their neck, where it should be here. So if you get an injury, now they're getting hurt here at the neck, and they're getting hurt here at the stomach, where they should be getting hit here and here, like at the hips. So we see kids that aren't in a booster, they'll come in and have a neck injury that could nerve damage, something down the arm, and they'll have stomach injuries, internal.
Wow.
So if they had that booster and just had that little bit of height, the seatbelt would fit them the right way, and they would avoid those injuries. Yeah. And nowadays there's so many. They have like portable boosters that you could actually inflate and deflate, so you could take them with you on an airplane. So if you're traveling in an Uber, people that live in the city, there's really like a lot of great options.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. I think you're right. Like most of the kids are like a little bit older, and then they ask to like not sit in the booster and stuff like that.
Where their friends aren't, and then
okay, and then front seat.
So New Jersey recommends that you don't sit in the front seat until you're 13.
Okay.
And then when you do sit in the front seat, the seat should be pushed all the way back, just so that if there is an accident, the airbag is not, too close to them.
That's the reason. It's the airbag. It's not the impact.
It's the airbag. Yeah. Because the airbag is too much force for a child. So at 13, kids start to mature, get a little bigger. So before that, you're really too small. That airbag will just take you out.
Got it. Okay. That's good to know. Car accidents in general. So you said that was the number 2.
That's our number 2 injury. Yeah. A lot of times just having your kid safely restrained will help. So even if you get in the car accident, as long as they're safely restrained, they should be okay.
Okay.
Especially like light fender benders, light taps. That's why it's so important every time. Even if you're going around the corner, seatbelt on, kids are buckled
most
in the back.
accidents happen like within 6 blocks of your house, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that true? Okay.
Yeah.
When it's a terrible accident, like it makes a huge difference when they're restrained.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. If the car rolls over, if they're not restrained, they're going to go flying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And same thing, not being distracted and just, being mindful of
just focusing on the road. Like
focus on
especially
the road.
when you have little ones in the car with you.
So I was surprised to learn the third most common injury this time, or I guess any time of year.
Anytime.
Is what?
Pedestrian injuries.
Wow.
So getting hit by a car, and this could be when you're walking or when you're riding a bike, riding a scooter. That all falls into it.
Okay.
So
got it.
Walking, but
Bikes.
Yes.
So we probably covered this before, but it's been a while. And helmets and stuff like that. Obviously always wear a helmet.
Yes.
You might know the answer to this question. This came up before. My parents used to tell us that it was the law.
It is. It is
the
Jersey.
law.
18 and under. It's the law.
Okay. All right. Good. Thanks for clarifying that. Because we weren't sure if it was like our parents telling us that. We were like, it's
no,
the
you
law.
can look it up.
You gotta wear it.
Yeah. It's a real law.
Okay.
18 and under, you can get ticketed, fined.
You can.
Yes.
Kids can get fined?
I think the parents get the fine. I think the parents get it, but I don't think it happens too much.
Okay.
I think police are doing other things, Some towns have a great initiative where kids that are riding a helmet, police officers will stop them and give them a coupon for either a slice of pizza or a free ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I've
so
heard
that kind of gets them
incentivized. Right.
But it is important. And then it's so important that the helmet's buckled. So many kids are just riding it without it buckled. If you were to fall off the bike, that helmet's going flying. It's not helping you at all.
Oh.
So it needs to be buckled and it should fit you properly. We have kids that sometimes wear their parents' helmets. Like that's not going to help you.
Okay.
So the general rule of thumb is whoever's wearing the helmet puts 2 fingers right above their eyebrow here. The helmet should come to right here.
Okay.
And then 2 fingers on the side and 1 finger underneath.
To have it make sure it's
so that you could still talk and breathe but it's not too much movement.
But it should be snug.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. And same with like a scooter or a skateboard. Like you should be wearing a helmet too. Anytime you're riding something.
Pads and all that too?
Yeah, the pads they're good for when you're learning. You don't have to wear them.
Okay.
When you get older, the elbow and knee pads. Not a law to wear those, but it's helpful.
Okay.
If you're a new rider.
Do you see a lot of bicycle injuries?
Yeah.
Wow.
All the time. And a lot of times it's kids not wearing a helmet, and lately it's been the electric bikes.
I've seen that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the electric scooters. If you go down to Asbury Park, they're everywhere.
They are cool, but like it kind of takes away from the whole like exercise part of it.
Yeah, it does. You're not doing the work.
I saw one the other day and I was like, I get it, but like I get the thrill of being able to go a little. It's not like a motorcycle, right?
Yeah.
But you're still like kind of whizzing around. There's a guy in my neighborhood actually who has one, and he does that to like the bus stop.
Oh, really?
But then like it takes away from like being outside and getting exercise. I don't know. Whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. If my daughter asked me for one, I'd be like, no, ride your bike.
Yeah. They're dangerous because kids don't realize how fast they go.
Right.
Some go 25 miles an hour, some go 35, and
that's really fast.
Yeah, it is. And especially if they're swerving in the road, they might not see cars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Try to avoid them.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe like at the park.
Yeah, or a contained area.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't like that. All right. Listen to me. I'm like, I don't like that. All right, but whatever. Yeah. Get them if you want, but just be really careful. And also
wear the helmet.
Are not getting them.
Yeah. Make sure you're seen. Don't wear all black clothes.
Okay.
Same with the Halloween costumes. You want to be bright, reflective when you're riding. Closed-toed shoes.
Right.
And just riding. You should always ride right. That's another thing I see all the time. So riders should ride right with the cars. Okay, because you're considered a vehicle when you're on a bike or a scooter or something. So riding right, and then when you're walking, you should walk against the cars, opposite.
When you're walking,
so that the cars could see you.
Oh,
but when you're riding, we would say ride right.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So when you're running, I'm a runner.
Yes.
I should run against.
Yeah.
That's what I always
thought. So that they can see you. Yeah. It's tricky because people think the bikes and walkers should be the same, but it's actually opposite.
That's what because this maybe came up over the years, but I always thought for me personally, I want to make sure that I can see cars.
Yes. And it's important too when you're about to cross a street, especially if it's a main road, make eye contact with the driver. Make sure they could see you before you run across.
Yeah.
If they're looking at their phone or something, they might not see you.
Yeah. Like side note, I run residential mostly because I feel safer running in a neighborhood than I do in a park, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because of other things that we're probably, we shouldn't bring up right now. But that's the reason. But then it's like, it's kind of a catch-22 because it's also
Because there's
the cars. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
But like, I don't know. There's something about now, like running in a park by myself that I just don't love anymore. But yeah, you're right. That's interesting. Fall sports. If you do, have a fall or your child experiences some type of traumatic injury, Jersey Shore Medical Center, you can bring them.
Yes, we are the trauma center for Monmouth and Ocean County, so it is best to go right there if you have a traumatic injury. Sometimes you might go to a smaller hospital just because you're in that town, you're right down the street from a smaller hospital, but you'll end up waiting longer, and then the transfer time, if it is a true traumatic injury, to get to Jersey Shore, it could be hours. It could be 4 to 6 hours that you're waiting for transport, and you're just delaying your care.
Okay.
After a traumatic injury, they call it like the golden hour. The first hour is when everything's most important, when getting to the hospital and getting that care and any interventions that you might need. So just taking that extra 10, 20 minutes to drive to Jersey Shore is really important.
Yeah.
If it's a true trauma.
Okay.
If there's an open bone sticking out, a loss of consciousness,
Yeah.
So if you fall on your head, you just have some pain, it might be okay. But if your bone's sticking out and you're passed out,
or you have you hit your head really hard, so, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then it's definitely
if you go flying off a bike, any kind of flying out of a car, anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's really valuable that we have this incredible resource right in our backyard.
Yes.
And how many new resources have been added to the hospital system since I've lived here my whole life, and it's just it's really great that we have
it's
this.
growing too.
It's growing. Yeah, for sure. So definitely make note of that. Where can moms find more information if they wanted to look up information about the trauma center?
So on our website, if you just type in Jersey Shore Medical Center Trauma, we have a whole website listing you can find info on our surgeons, our doctors, and all of our programs that we have.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This was I learned a lot today, and I'm sure lots of moms will make note of all the valuable information. Definitely cleared up a few things. I didn't know that about the kids in the front seat at 13, so we're going to make some adjustments.
Yeah, it's tough because if their friends are doing it,
I know. But thank you again.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We'll list all of the information in the notes here, and if any questions, obviously reach out to us, and we can put you in contact with Hackensack Meridian Children's Health. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you.